Hey, good morning everybody, BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so got somebody waiting ahead of me in regards to getting a room, and the water's down, so they technically can't sell a room until the water's at 110. I'm not really sure what that means, but I might be waiting around all day basically to get a room. That's the majority of what it is we're hearing. So I'm here though, and I'm here, and hopefully when I called, I was told there were 3 rooms available, and since there's one person ahead of me, it should be cool. So I don't care. I'm in the area. That's the point. My stuff is here. So I'm just walking. It's raining today, but it ain't too bad right now. So I figured I'd just get some air. I feel better about leaving the NoHo hotel the way that I had to, because unfortunately they let me rent the room, but the toilet was not good. It doesn't flush properly, and so I was able to tell the maintenance man that rather than just walk out of there with the toilet not being right. So that was something that made me feel a lot better, man. I was like, man, am I really leaving here without letting them know? Because my thing is, if I tell the main guy, he might try to blame me for it, say that I was the one, you know what I mean? They've already tried some shady stuff with me before with something else. So my thinking was, I'd rather tell the maintenance guy who has to clean it rather than tell the dude behind the counter, so he doesn't blame me for something that he know damn well that thing is messed up. You know what I mean? He sold it to me messed up. That's why it smelled like ammonia in there so bad yesterday. It was because the toilet probably had been stopped up. So, you know, it's one of them situations where I guess the Lord worked it out to where at least the maintenance man ain't gonna be caught off guard by the toilet not being right in the morning. But it is what it is, man. Got to do whatever is done, whatever has to be done. So I had a good night last night, although it was a bit of a situation where I woke up out of another dream. But this dream was one of them situations where it kind of held me to task for not being a better friend to somebody. You know, that's what it felt like. One of my buddies in my dream kind of came up to me, and he was standing behind me, and during a conversation with my mother, I was sitting with my mom, and I wasn't in my best light. I was angry about something. Somebody had taken all of the CDs that I use for my playlist and kind of cupped them in such a way to where they were shaped like coffee filters. If you know how coffee machine filters are, it's like they cup them like this. They have the paper that kind of cuffs up. So they had done that to all of my CDs. So I was mad, and I was like, who did this? You know, I deserve more respect in this. I don't know what I was saying, but it seemed like I was like demanding that whoever did that to be, you know, shown to me or whatever. It was a whole ordeal, and I was angry. I was cussing, but I wasn't angry at my mother. I was just cussing in her direction, and my boy was standing behind me. And I turned around and said, hey, what's up, man? And then kind of turned back around, continued talking to my mom. And then, of course, you know, re-greeted him after I finished the conversation with my mom. And he said something along the lines of, don't go like this, big hands, with your hands out like you're gonna hug somebody, if the love ain't real. And I woke up, and I'm like, I got love for my homie. What's that supposed to mean? But at the same time, I know I ain't been reaching out. I ain't been reaching back, this type of thing. So it's like, that's real. That's real. So that's kind of the dream that I woke up from. It's like, we can hold other people to task for different things that we don't like when it's coming our way. But don't be confused about the fact that maybe we need to work on some of those same things. And this is what I was talking about in regards to my friend Kay. You know, how she had been distant, and how I didn't understand that earlier on in this process. Going through this, it's like how she had kind of ghosted me in different ways. But it's like when you really start thinking about how you treat other people, I find out myself personally that maybe I didn't ghosted a few people too, and probably deserved that. And so that's really what it came down to, is understanding that, and the notion of that being something that I need to work on, and making that clear to myself and to others who would listen to me on this channel, to say, I think God was holding me to task for not being a better friend to some people who otherwise deserve better from me. And as a result, I genuinely believe that I need to make some changes within myself, and it took this, going through this, to help me understand, to appreciate things, as I was telling y'all yesterday. But now it might be time to change some behaviors that maybe I hadn't really looked into making changes in regards to since before I learned to respect life in the way that I do now. It's like, okay, you went through something in the last 6 months. It made you look at life different, made you look at people different, made you look at yourself different, made you respect certain things, made you be stronger mentally. And now that you're in that space, don't you think you should probably try to make some things right that maybe you were doing the wrong way back when you were the way you were, you know what I mean? Back when you didn't respect things the way you should have. Maybe you need to reach out to some people, let them know what you've learned or something like that. And so that's what I woke up thinking, like, it's time to possibly reach out to some people and keep the balance, understanding that you may have made some people feel like they ain't loved, so you don't know what their intentions would be going forward. Maybe they didn't long stop worrying about you, you know what I mean? So don't think that you just got all this love coming back your way for people you didn't discarded of, so to speak, in friendship. So my thinking is, to keep the balance. Like, you don't want to welcome the wrong energy into your life because you didn't finally woke up and realize you wasn't the greatest friend to others. Maybe you find out that they're not friend to you because of it, that kind of thing. So there's a balance to understand, but for me, it's just about waking up and being held to task for that and understanding, I probably could have been better in that way. I probably could have been a little more open with my anxieties and more open about my reservations as it pertains to people, maybe having a conversation, let them know, hey, I'm walking away from your life for this reason. Maybe it has something to do with myself. Maybe it has to do with how I'm perceiving yourself or what have you. But to just ghost people was an immature thing to do, and I don't believe that I still feel the same way as I did. A lot of stuff was about the comfort of being in isolation. And the comfort of not having to have hard conversations because of that anxiety and what have you. Some of that stuff I didn't flat out work through. Or this is just shaking off the weakness that would otherwise cause that, I believe. And these circumstances, being in this place where I had to deal with all of this. I remember how I felt when I first started dealing with this particular thing that I'm dealing with right now, where I didn't know if I was going to get a room, had to spend the night at another hotel, try to get back. These different things that I'm going through lately, and then having to repeat these processes over and over again, help you respect certain things, help you get stronger mentally. As I was telling y'all in the previous therapy session, how I had learned that I could be who I am no matter where I'm at. That kind of stuff is just, it helps build the character in such a way to where you're not going to continue to do that stuff that you did. You're not going to look at the world the way you did because you don't have to reserve that for your otherwise lack of strength. You know what I mean? It's like I can look anybody right now, tell them any damn thing because of what I've been through lately. Some of the conversations we've had, some of the dreams I've had, dealing with Karen in the way that I did, and how I had to strengthen up to accept that certain things were not going to go my way in that situation, that friendship or what have you. It was those things that helped me respect that this is how I want to approach life from here on out. But the last time I thought about how I was behaving, I hadn't come to those conclusions. The last time I thought about those people, I hadn't thought about it in that way. And so it's like there's an upgrade that needs to be had as you grow. And sometimes your friendships go by the wayside if you don't allow yourself to upgrade in the presence of others. They don't get to see that change, so they still think you're that person or whatever the case may be. So that's what it is for me, is growth. And I'd expect that others have grown too in different ways or whatever the case may be. God is good, so it takes sometimes going through difficulties and then having to turn to God in the way that I was forced to understand that He does the same thing to other people too. He makes it so that they have to turn to Him too, and maybe that for which they handled certain things in regards to your absence may have been worked out. You know what I mean? And so I was kind of expressing to Kay when I last spoke with her in sort of a roundabout way. It's like, I'm much stronger. I don't find myself agonizing over your absence or thinking about it that way or feeling like I don't understand what you're doing or It's none of that's even in place now. Not right now. God has worked it out for me to understand you a bit better, understand why I was going through that, how to work through that, how to not really care too much about that. And so that's what it is. It's like you just appreciate the growth within yourself. You deal with that for which you need to change in other people, and then you realize the need to make those changes have to be seen in their eyes. It can't just be you making those changes and then expecting people to just understand that without you having a communication with them on that level. And so that's what it is, man. A lot of times I just discard the friendships and stuff like that. Let people get out of touch with me and not care too much about it because of my own comfort in that space of being alone and all of that. Maybe they ain't comfortable with that. And maybe it took this for me to understand that I actually do care that they feel good about myself, or are at peace with whatever they have to deal with in regards to me. Maybe that does matter to me a bit more than I allowed myself to feel it did. That kind of thing. So, and it's sometimes, honestly, people, you just want out of your life for reasons that are legitimate, but maybe you don't necessarily want to tell them why, or maybe you haven't given as much thought to it. It's just a vibe, so you move on from them because of that vibe that you feel, and that's it. It ain't necessarily because of maturity issues. It's because you don't trust the environment around them or trust them at all. And that's what it was for this particular friend of mine. I ain't trust the environment around him. Sometimes people just let the wrong people around them. It ain't you that I don't trust. It's that any given moment I'm around you, you're going to have the wrong people around you. So I'm not going to be around. You dig? But that's also something, if you care about that person, to share with them. You know what I mean? Or maybe they went through a phase in their life where they showed you something that you wasn't used to out of them, and now you like, man, get that up out of here. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes you don't want to give them that explanation, and maybe that doesn't apply to what it is we're talking about. Maybe it is in your best interest to just back away slowly from certain people. But you know who those people are, and you know if you're treating those people with the respect that they deserve from you. And if you are not, then you know that's on you to get it right. So I think that's what the dream is more or less alluding to. Don't be fake with people. Don't reach your hands out and act like you love them to death. Oh my God, I miss you. How you been? If the idea was to stay the hell away from them in the first place. If the idea ain't that you cared anything about that. Because a lot of times, that's what human beings tend to do. They want to act like they care when they don't. They want to act like the interest matters when it doesn't to them. You made up your mind, you care less if a person care about you. Okay, well, stay out of it. When you see them, keep that same energy, as people say. And that requires a certain level of strength and self-respect and confidence within yourself to be able to not waver from that when you see someone. A certain level of guts that a lot of people just don't have to keep that same energy. It's much easier to be fake. It's much easier to keep the guys that, it's not what it is. It ain't what it seems. I'm just, you don't care, and you know it. And you're not strong enough within yourself and confident within yourself to stand on it. And so that was what the energy was in my dream, telling me not to be that way with anybody. And definitely not with people I claim to be friends with. Because at the end of the day, God is watching that energy. He ain't pleased with it. And when you go to pray to God and ask for different things, even though you ain't thinking about them people you did that way, He always has it in your mind, His mind, how you did people. So, do better is essentially what I gathered from that. Do better, be better, and ask for my help so that you can have the intention of being better. And so that's what I did. I asked the Lord to help me with that. Some things I ain't really giving too much thought about, especially since I've been going through this. But at the end of the day, regardless of why I left people's lives or that they left my life and I ain't happy about it or whatever the case may be, God is sending us all in different directions to become better, I believe, or send us to our fate or what have you. So you can't just take people for granted, especially if you do care about them, and it's just you making decisions immaturely that ultimately brought you away from those people. Their door is still open to make it right. Maybe in the future, that would be what it is that you need to be doing. Or in the present, assuming that you don't know what you have left in terms of time. Maybe the present needs to be given more effort in that way. So those are things that came to mind last night, man. That dream was serious. It wasn't like the dreams I had been having when they were sending me in different directions of happiness. It was more so about, okay, we're gonna hold you to task, B, for not being the greatest in that way. And so I'm open to understanding that is something that I can ask the Lord to help me with, and I'll do better as I move forward, But I came down to this Target because I know I got some things I need to purchase here, and since I got a bunch of time to wait, I just gave the lady at the front desk my number so she can call me when something becomes available for me. For now, I can just kill time. I left my stuff in the lobby out of the way. Kind of trust that at this point. Probably shouldn't trust it this much, but this was something I had to do anyway. Come to Target, I had to do that anyway. So might as well take care of it while I have an opportunity to. So yeah, man, just wanted to give y'all a little update on that particular part of my dream. It was another aspect of it too that was really crazy before that, which was basically, I can get into that before I go in. More or less what it was I felt like I was in some type of space type thing. I might have been like in a space suit or something like that, out in the wide space, and I ended up landing in Arizona. And essentially what was happening was there had been some type of attack or something in Arizona that had basically deteriorated the land out there. It was getting progressively worse. It was like somebody had dropped some type of bomb out there, and it was eating away at the map entirely, out there in Arizona, and it was moving inward, and it was eventually going to destroy the entire country. Leave it as desolate as it wasn't even just leaving it desolate. It was going to just remove it entirely. And so we were seeing it. I went down to the ground zero area from within my spacesuit, came down to the ground zero area, and you could see it was just fire everywhere, and the land itself was just removed. It just looked like deep space down, and just fire eating away at the land, pulling back on it ever so slowly. Armageddon type stuff. And we ended up escaping that area because I had the ability to fly and that kind of thing. So we just landed, looked at it, realized it was bad, and jetted back to space or something like that. And that's where I ended up landing, somewhere else, some type of space, and my mother was there. Is the beginning of the other part of the dream, and it looked like some type of banquet or something, but it was two ladies sitting further across from one another. It's like me in this area where I'm at, and the seat where her daughter was over there by the furthest plant over there. She's far away. And my mother and I were kind of sitting over here in this type of area. That's the distance. And I guess one lady said something to the other lady who happened to be her daughter, and my mother did not appreciate what she heard and started talking loud about that. And I found myself being embarrassed because I'm like, why is my mom speaking? Thing was, my mom was behind me, and the woman next to me didn't know that was my mother, because I wasn't saying, hey ma, nothing. I was just it was almost like I was pretending I didn't know my mom in that situation. And I saw the lady next to me kind of roll her eyes at my mother as my mother was speaking, and I looked at her a certain way, and the lady next to her kind of got it. And then she started nudging the lady that she was next to, who was giving my mom that look, to stop allowing me to see it, because she understood that I had some tie to the woman who was complaining about the woman who was complaining about her daughter. So it was very confusing, but it was exactly how it went. And then from there, I just had an attitude somewhere along the line, I ended up finding that my CDs were cuffed in such a weird way. And that's like a carryover from that aspect of the dream. Very weird stuff, very specific stuff, but that's exactly how the dream went, man. That's exactly how that went. So, I don't know, man. I don't know idea what's going on in my dreams, but I do like reporting them back to y'all. But that's the gist of it, man. That's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching.